Your Honor, my motion is to dismiss these horrible charges on the grounds of lack of probable cause. As Your Honor knows, probable cause is based upon, it's defined, legally defined as, is there a reasonable basis in the facts to believe that a crime has been committed and that the person charged before the court is the one who committed the crime. That's the legal definition of probable cause. In this case, the prosecution has now admitted through its own witness that they do not have the typical evidence that one would expect in a murder case. There is no confession. There is no DNA. There is no gunshot residue. We understand the time factor about that. There is no gun. Therefore, there are no ballistic tests. There are no fingerprints. They have no physical evidence. And the bottom line is they essentially have no case. And when you look at all of the insufficiencies of evidence and the things testified to by this officer, the fact that the man who's given the statement, he's trying to save his own neck. He admits that he was there, he admits that he was involved, and now he ties in Mr. Scott. I think it's sort of a fallacy to believe that he, Mr. Smith, could not have communicated with Mr. Coleman while Coleman was in Alabama. And the fact that Coleman and my client, Mr. Scott, were together, there's nothing about that indicates criminal activity. There's nothing against the law to go to Alabama. It's nothing against the law to go to Alabama with anybody for that matter. But the point I'm making is I think they failed to establish probable cause. And since the evidence is insufficient as a matter of law, I move the court to dismiss these horrible charges.
Thank you, Counsel. Anything?
Just really briefly, Your Honor, I mean, this is a case where we have two individuals that independently corroborate each other that both implicate Antly Scott as being one of the individuals involved in this. I think that right there, is enough probable cause. We have one of them that comes forward that is arrested, and gives a statement implicating Antly Scott, also implicates Derek Coleman, which leads to arrest warrants being issued for the two of them. They are found together in another state, and then his roommate then gives a statement that basically corroborates what that prior co-defendant said, yet again implicating Antly Scott. I think that right there is probable cause and enough to go, not only to get, to bind it over, but I submit enough. It's ultimately going to be a jury issue as to the credibility of those two witnesses. But I would submit it would be enough to convict him, let alone just establish probable cause.
Anything else, Counsel?
Just briefly, Judge. Again, our position is it doesn't establish probable cause, and of course you have the call on that. But if that's their case, that's an extraordinarily weak case.
All right, based on what I'm hearing, I do feel that the state has met its burden of proof of probable cause. Probable cause, of course, sometimes it's a little minute detail that puts you over the fence of getting what you got to get. It is a matter of fact for the jury to decide. It is a matter of not a fact of law at this particular point. It's a fact presenting the evidence for the jury to consider, the fact finders to consider. So I do feel that probable cause has been met, and I am going to send this case on to general session for adjudication. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge.
Your Honor, we want to make sure we get a copy of that tape. So.
Send me to it.
We'll do it, Judge.
Thank you. Good one.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All rise.
Fine, it just.